and good day to everybody. This is Joe with Eagle Eye Mold, mold assessor, and wanting to discuss this situation that I went through and my customers unfortunately had to deal with unnecessarily. And this is why, good reporting is needed and pressure to be put on the necessary property management and getting into this. So my customer is a doctor. He's expanding his practice. He didn't want to move entirely away from where he was at. He found a place near where he was at in the same location, and needed a clean space to work with. So this was like an outtake or intake, or patients are going to be here after surgery, and that's why this was important. And in this area, this is a baseboard. It was bulging out. He saw it. He says, Joe, I know there's something there. I just need you to document it because the property management isn't handling this the way it should be. And I came in and I took a look. I took a sample. You can see here, and you can see here, it just bulges out. Now, is it from the pipes that we saw here? Was it something else? It was hard to say at the time, but definitely, okay, here's something going on. And then I worked to the kitchenette area. So this is the sink base. There's a dishwasher here, and then, lower cabinets. It's kind of hollow corner here. Nothing big, nothing out of the ordinary, but, I open up the sink base and I can see damage on this right side, or moisture damage, a little separation, some cracking. You can see better here. So, being that it's a medical facility, I'm going to just to make sure to rule in and rule out what's going on. I took a camera and I says, let me take a peek underneath here, and you can see this. So this is the right side of that sink base. Up here was that damage. Down here now I'm seeing this and I'm like, okay, something's going on. Something's been going on. And this is where I took a sample. So this is the the cotton balls over here. This is the sample that I took here, and then looking with my camera, probing, and I could see, there's been something going on. And then this is that right corner, and you could see all this. So water was settling, pooling. As I said to myself, okay, there's definitely more going on. Now, was it from the dishwasher, the sink base? Was it from that pipe? It was hard to say, and we'll put a pin on this. So this I didn't understand at the time of this first inspection, but I can see the discoloration of the slab and the wall. So there was definitely something going on, and I created a report stating that that wall that I took the original sample, 2 feet up, 2 feet over, pretty much in here, to remove. And then on the kitchen, basically this sink base and the same wall over here to be removed. So that was in my report, and you can see here. So again, this pooling of water in that corner, and on that north wall, 4.6 million aspergillus. So there was a lot going on. That sink base, that right side, we had 1 million plus of aspergillus and cotomium. All right, here we go. Cotomium. Black molds in the book says typically takes 7 to 10 days of wet conditions, constant. So I have 7,000. Okay, wasn't tremendous, but you know what? It's telling me something's there, and with the visual evidence, more is there. And what happened was, now the property management must have not liked my report, and they wanted to do their way. They spent money on other people to inspect and test, and instead of just taking care of the problem, they made it more of a headache. So this was just after Thanksgiving 2025 that I was there. And the back and forth and my customers, I spend time with these customers because they were getting jerked around and the run around, and I told them, look, there's more going on. It's hidden. It just needs to be done properly. So they're telling me that they've remediated the place, and I told them, I said, look, see if they want me to do a visual inspection, because at at the time they says, oh, we got our own guys. It passed, and we took care of everything. I went there, and a couple months later, and I see this. I walk to this. So I took a picture of this, and I'm like, okay, there's something going on. Now, I wasn't there for the clearance test for this part. Again, they spent someone else's, more money to throw at something that they're trying to cover up. But I see all this encapsulation, and I'm like, okay, all right, let's see. Maybe there's nothing there. But now I'm starting to look, and I'm like, okay, this corner has got a lot more encapsulation. That corner is this corner. So what the hell's going on? So already right now I don't like what I saw, and didn't make heads or tails. And I'm I'm asking the property management, this hasn't been changed out. Oh, no, it was changed out. I said, how can that be? So they were giving a picture of something, of another sink base somewhere else to the customers. And I said to the customer, I says, whatever picture they sent you didn't have a disposal. The pictures that I got and they have to remove have a disposal. So there's back and forth, and it was just a nonsense waste of time. So now we set up an agreement. I says, okay, I want to be there when they detach this sink base. I want to be there. If I'm wrong, I'll eat my words, but I want to be there. So they set up a meeting where I met with the property manager, a plumber, and a handyman that says, oh, I'm an engineer. Yeah, the way you look, sure. But that's near here or there. But the thing is they're trying to create a presentation of BS. And all I'm saying is there's something here and needs to be addressed. So now the plumber is in there and he's working this out. He's detaching this. And he's like, oh, the remediation people, all they're out is to make money. And I'd say, yeah, there are people that are like that. But you know what? My report had results, and based off the results, work to be done. So now he's moving it, and things are starting to, smell a little bit more, and I could smell the mycotoxins. I put on my mask, and he's like, oh, no, that's the sewage water. I'm like, man, you're digging your hole deeper and deeper. So once it started to ajar, I says, let me take a picture before this guy comes up with something, and took a picture of this. And I said, you got to keep going. You got to take this damn thing out all the way. And sure enough, here we go. Wow, there's a lot of mold at the bottom of the toe kick, this cabinet, and exactly where I was telling them to look for and do. I mean, this remediation could have been done, months ago when it was supposed to. And you can see where I took my sample here. So one sample on the cabinet. And then we started working this cabinet out a little bit more. And you can see there's water damage all over behind it. Here's the bottom of the cabinet. I told him immediately, let's wrap this so then we don't cross-contaminate. So I had the foresight to have that plastic there for this to be done. It was just a lot of ecology. There was a lot going on. So I started digging in. So they covered this area. I said, let me see what more. And going back, there was a piece of vinyl baseboard. And that's what I couldn't understand in the other picture earlier that I told you to put a pin in. This was hiding more damage. And once I started peeling back, I was like, wow. And this is the side, the opposite side of the wall that was encapsulated heavy to cover up what's there. Unnecessarily. You cut one side of the drywall, cut the other side. You can see here, this was black. And this is what pisses me off. They waste time. These property managers, they go in circles. They think I'm some sort of witch doctor creating this stuff. It's there. I can see it. I documented it. I put it in there. And especially a facility that's going to be medical. Take the extra time. You know what? You wasted so much more money and time that these people could have been paying, and the business would have been starting and paying you guys back. But you go through the nonsense. And now here's a sample. Here's the sink base bottom, 2.2 million in microascus and chitomium. Again, here's my black mold that I found. Now, on that wall that was covered up with the vinyl, you had some aspergillus, but bam, black mold, Menonellia, black mold, stocky. I mean, come on. You wasted more time, created more headaches, and instead of just handling what's there and trusting what is in a documented report by a licensed person. So these are the things that property management do. And there's a few that are good, and there's a lot that will drive you crazy. So I want everybody to have a wonderful day, not a green day, but a great day. And we got more to show down the road, but these are the things that you just want to be aware of. And you can see this is all went all the way to February 2026. So you guys have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye bye.